Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I'm your host, Rich Owens, and joining me this morning, two of the best people in the entire universe. Fight me. It's a straight statement of fact. It's the United City FM, and it's Jeb Kev. How are we this morning, pal?
I'm definitely not going to fight you. You'd win for a start, and I just don't feel the need. I mean, you're right. We're all lovely. What can I tell you? I'm good, thank you. Happy to be here. Saturday lunchtime even. I've lost a day. I feel a little bit, I said to you before we started, Rich, I feel a little bit like I've lived online this week. But I'm really happy to be here. The next hour or so is going to be lovely. Hope everybody out there is doing great. Let's do this.
Absolutely, let's do this. Yes, Kev has been very online this week, but not to his detriment, because the more Kev is online, the better my life is. So there's no arguing there. Jeb, how are you doing this morning, pal?
I've had some sleep. That's important. That's really important. Sleep's important, guys. Get your 6 hours at least. Don't get 2 hours and then 4 hours and then try to run a chaotic show that was the Drafts and Crafts this week. And then, it's been a busy week. It's been a rewarding week as well. It was really nice. So I did a presentation to some students on Thursday about myself. And I was up till 5 a.m. the night before preparing this presentation. Just talk about yourself is really difficult, but it's also really nice as I was going through what I've done in my life. It's like, oh, I've done all right. It's quite nice, this. And I even got a shout out for the podcast as well. So there you go.
That was my favourite bit, because as soon as he finished Thursday afternoon, we were like, right, how did it go? And then we just got sent a graphic, and it just had thumbnails and links to podcast on it. So by the way, if anybody's watching or listening to this as a result of Jeb's shout out, hello, lovely to have you in. This is what he does, and he's really good at it. You should watch him, and you learn a thing or two. I do every single week. Glad to have you here, pal, and glad to hear, most importantly, you've got a bit of sleep, because as I said, I felt a little look behind the curtain here. Jeb was making the show, Drafts and Crafts show, which we recorded at the time of recording. We recorded last night with Tony and with Ali. He was making the show as the show was going on, and still making incredibly valid points and contributing very, very well. I struggle to do either of those things anyway. So to do them simultaneously on not very much sleep, hell of an effort, pal.
On that look behind the curtain as well, it didn't really help that Tony kept coming to me for every squad, even though it wasn't my turn. It was like, I'm trying to do something here. Stop asking me about the squad that Rich is supposed to be talking about, or Ellie, not me.
Yeah. Tony, who is famously now off the wagon, was on the showers last night. So it was, it was an experience, a wonderful experience.
As a viewer, it was very special watching Tony back on it.
Yeah, I hope he's feeling well this morning, because anybody who's drunk that amount of apple sours, like regardless of whether they're on the wagon or not, still probably going to wake up feeling a little bit worse for wear. Oh, fellas, I tell you what, I'm excited for this week, because we've got a full docket this week. There is content. There are things to talk about, which I'm looking forward to enormously. Very briefly, before we start, we are, of course, recording this midday. It's now midday on the 11th of March. None of us have received the call or the email yet. But just as a point of reference, BBC, if you are in touch, I don't know about yourselves, fellas, but I'm busy tonight and I don't really want to host match of the day. So I'm guessing, I'm
or do commentary, or any of the analysis at the moment.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm busy.
Not
tonight.
Interested.
No, sorry, lads.
Solidarity.
Exactly. Up the Lineker. That's what we say around here. Good for you, Gary. So we're out of that tonight. Sorry, Beeb. We're all washing our collective hair together in a big bath. We have a good time. Saturday night tradition on FMT. It's a fun way to spend time with each other. That's the way that I see it. It's a very fun way to spend time with each other.
This has taken a turn, hasn't it?
Hasn't it though? Shampoo twice. That's what I've learned. Shampoo twice. Once for cleanliness.
We've got matey, haven't we? We're ringing matey to the bath, aren't we? Yeah.
Nice
big bottle of matey.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not a bath without a big bottle of matey. It's arguably our Saturday night baths are the second most fun way we spend time with each other over the course of a week. You could argue that the most fun we have together during the course of the week is on a Monday evening, which we did this week for the first time in a long time because, fellas, the network game is back. If you haven't caught up with it, where have you been? What have you been doing? We've taken charge of 3 Premier League clubs. I am managing Leicester, Jeb is managing Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Kev is managing Brighton. Kev, how's life on the South Coast working out for you, pal?
I'm really going to argue how much fun a Monday evening is because I had very little of it last Monday, it must be said. There was, here's the rub, right, for anybody out there. On Monday evening last week, when we returned to the network game, there were 2 things that disrupted my evening. The first, Jeb is very proudly presenting as we speak, because it was a very, very painful weekend for me previously to that Monday evening. And I got reminded every 7 seconds, let's say, which was lovely of my chat and everybody else. And the second thing that happened is I didn't get off to a very good start at Brighton before we had the break in the network game. It was a very tricky start. And then my first 4 games back last Monday were something like Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Arsenal, or something like that, and I got a point on it. I couldn't see that, Jeb, sorry. But yeah, I got a point from those 4 games. My board have been actually relatively quiet over the fact that I'm sitting in 19th position, having then struggled against Leeds United and a couple of others as well. I don't know how else to tell you this, gentlemen. I had a really very bad start to FM23 as a whole. I got sacked in the beta and I got sacked in the first season of my first save in FM23. This has all the feels of that. And I really, very genuinely, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this mess. I think I might get the sack. Can I apply for one of the big 6? When it comes up, is that allowed? I don't know. But yeah, I really don't know. I think I've got a decent squad. I think I had a decent transfer window. I think I've got an okay tactic that should be able to kick a football around a pitch and occasionally put it in the back of the net. And hardly any of those things have helped me in any way, shape, or form. And I'm really, really struggling with it. But I'll be back on Monday evening this coming week to try and find a way to sort it out. Who knows whether it will work or not. But yeah, fun Mondays. One day, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, so far for Kev, they're just Mondays. That's all it really is. I've got my fingers crossed for you. I know it's competitive. I know we all want to win, but I just want you to win the most.
It's my new phrase, Rich. I don't necessarily want to win. I just don't want to suck. And at the moment, I suck and I don't like it, but we'll see if we can change it.
It's all going to be fine. I've got a feeling. I've got a very, very good feeling it's all going to be okay. Speaking of okay, I mean, Jeb, when we started up on Monday, people may have forgotten due to the hiatus that we took from the save. Your Wolverhampton Wanderers team, pal, were top of the league. How has that worked out for you since?
It's not great in terms of results. I was about to say we're recording this on Saturday. This will go out on Tuesday after the Monday. I remember an episode where an episode of Football Manager Therapy where somebody chatted about the team they were managing and how it's all going to be fine and nothing's going to happen. So Kev will be sacked by the time you listen to this. I can see it happening now.
I'm there.
It's a prediction, not a spoiler, but. Yeah, Wolves was going okay. Transfer deadline day approached, and I had no money, so and I finally got the option. So I'm going to increase the transfer budget. Can I increase the transfer budget? Can I increase the wage budget? Come on board, please, please. And then Ruben Neves is still sat there, and I was like, he's all right. He's not been overly impressive for me. Obviously, he's club captain as well, so that's quite a big thing there. But I decided to push the offer to clubs. I put him out there, and Newcastle came in with I think it was like a £32 million bid, and then I tried to increase, and they went, nah, we're not doing that. Then they came in again and went, how about 28 million? I was like, that's not how it works. Can somebody tell the devs at FM this is not how transfers work? And it seems, it's something I've noticed with transfers in general. It's like, We'll give you 35 million for him. No, how about 40? No, how about 30? No, that's not what I've asked for more. I don't want less. And it seems to happen consistently. But anyway, eventually I got him to 35 million up front, and then they pay me 10 million after, so 45 million, 10 million after 50 appearances. So off he went. And off I went spending. It was great. I couldn't get rid of Hungry Chan. We tried. I think I went as low as 4.5 million, and people still wouldn't go for him. I feel sorry for him a little bit now more than anything else. But we went in, we dipped in, we replaced Neves with the younger Thuram brother. I can never remember. Is it Felipe? No, it's not. What's his Kyrian? No,
Thuram.
Can't remember. Yeah, Thuram. So the central
Thuram.
midfielder. He did excellent for me in one game. He got 2 assists and 2 goals. One of his first games. We picked up Satalo at the back just to strengthen that back line. So now I've got 4 pretty good central defenders in. Well, 3.5 in Kilman, Nathan Collins, Satalo, and £13 million club captain Liam Cooper. Well, why Liam Cooper? Why did I buy him? And then I tried to pick up Orsic, and it was going well. It was like we were going through it. We're trying to push it through. It was like, yes, this might happen. I might get him in here. And then the transfer deadline shut, and I was like, oh. Just couldn't get enough money. I couldn't balance it. I'll do it this way. I tried to sell some clauses. Tried to even push it through on loan. I had Ceballos lined up as well, but I just cancelled that and went, it's all right. I've got Thuram and a couple of other midfielders. I don't need Ceballos. Orsic would have been great because he can go on the wing. He can go up front. Would have been a really nice signing. And then the transfer deadline window shut. And then the board came along and went, oh, yeah, we just seen your email about asking for more transfer budget. Yeah, you can have that. You can have 26 million. I was like, so angry. Just giving it, even like an hour before I would have signed Orsic, and I probably could have gone and signed somebody else as well. But we just need to establish ourselves. I think we conceded a few goals. We lost quite heavily to yourself, Rich, which wasn't what I wanted. And that's how we're going to go back in. But we did pick up a couple of nice draws, and we did get a win or two. So we're mid-table, and that's where we're expected to be. So we'll see where we push on from there.
Yeah, I felt so bad for you when that email came through just after transfer deadline day. It's like, oh, sorry, we were out.
I'm in 19th. I didn't feel bad for you at all.
Yeah, it's a horrible. We've all been there. We've all been there in saves where you've been begging for money and then nothing doing. Transfer window shuts, and then a few days later, they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, go on, have some cash, treat yourself. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. As you say, Jeb and I played each other. That was my first experience of playing one of the FM team during the competition. Bless Jeb for setting up the goal music. That was a treat. That was an absolute treat. The FMT pod theme played whenever a goal was scored, which I enjoyed enormously. Leicester City, I've got to say, it's going too well. I think it's going a little bit too well. I think we finished the end of the save. We're in a European spot, which is baffling. As with a lot of FM saves, when you've been playing a save and thinking about it loads, and then you just go off and do something else for a few months, and you come back to it and I have no idea what any of this is. Who are these people? What have I done? Who have I signed? I don't remember any of this. There was a lot of that when we loaded up the save last Monday night. I've forgotten what I'd done, apart from obviously signing Jack Butland. I'd forgotten everything else that had happened. Realised I needed a little bit of depth out wide, because I had 2 really, really strong wide players in players like Harvey Barnes, and I was using James Maddison as like an advanced playmaker out on the right wing in a 4-3-3. And I thought, but if he gets injured, if he stops playing, the only alternative I've got is Mark Albrighton. And I don't feel confident about that. Not Mark Albrighton doesn't feel confident about that. He's terrified of the concept. So we went out. I went to my old stomping ground from previous FMs, popped over to Lille and picked up Jonathan Bamber. I do like a bit of Jonathan Bamber. Really, really good utility winger. Can play on the left or the right. He's quick. He can dribble. He can shoot. So we'll make this work. And then he just established himself in my first team. He was always coming in as backup, and then he just established himself straight away. So Jonathan Bamber was great. I moved James Maddison inside, so he was sat as kind of like a deep lying playmaker in a midfield 3, in like a 4-3-3, and he was brilliant. Jamie Vardy was really struggling for goals. I seem to remember Jamie Vardy being really good at the start of the save. I looked at his kind of stats and his performances, and he was really underperforming. So we made a few tweaks, changed a few things, and then he just started scoring goals for fun. Jamie Vardy was unplayable on Monday night, which was a joy. I really enjoyed that. I think he's
It
sat.
wasn't.
How dare you? He had a great time. I had a great time with him. I mean, technically, he's second in the top scorer table behind Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is cheat code, so I'm claiming that Vardy's actually first because you just have to disregard all of Haaland's goals because it's just not fair to count them. So that's been working out really, really well. I've had a lovely time with that. Made the tweaks I made to the formation, which was working really, really nicely, kind of pre-update. First couple of games, it didn't really seem to be doing the business. I've got to say as well, shout out to our former FMT member and friend of the podcast, Alice, whose Crystal Palace team picked up 3 points against me. And also, I think was it Jeb? Did you lose to Palace as well?
Yeah, I went into a chat because I've now said that Alice is now my nemesis because Hal Robson-Kanu scored the equaliser after me being 2-0 up, and then Hal Robson-Kanu was the person who popped up, and he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for Alice. So there we are. It's all Alice's fault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Riddle Baku, I think the right back that she signed from Wolfsburg when she was part of the save as well. He just tore me to pieces when I played Palace. So Alice picked up 6 points against Jeb and I. So well done to you, Alice. Morally, I think you are doing the
1
best
point against
out
me.
of
Don't
the
give,
sorry, 1
give the
point
full
against-
rub. Yeah.
Sorry. I was me that picked up 3 points against you. Sorry, it's easy. It's easy to forget when you're winning so many games. But no, it's great fun. It's great fun. Kev, I promise you, it is great fun.
Well, when we came back in on Monday for the first time in a few months, and the first thing I saw was Alice had been retired out of the game, I was very tempted to apply for the Palace job, if I'm totally honest.
Sure, that would have gone down really well, the Palace fans, with that
Yeah,
rivalry
absolutely.
as well.
It would have been great. Every time they score a goal, they would have had to have said something nice about Kev. So I think more of that kind of thing. But it was I had a lovely time. I had a really, really nice time on Monday night. I think regardless of results or anything else, I just really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. So should we do it again this week? I think it seems like a
Well,
thing to do.
yeah. I mean, for anybody on the Patreon, of course, they get to listen to this episode before we do the next network save. So come and join us. Absolutely. For the other side of things, for Tuesday, when this gets released to the wider populace, did I survive? What sort of a world are we living in? Am I out of job? Have I found a new one? Have I gone on a run? What's happened? Help me.
Have you got a win? I've just loaded it up just to look in the background. You're on
nothing.
You're on 3 points.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've got
Forest are on
absolutely
8 losses, so they're on 1 point. So you're not bottom, but yeah.
There you
Bizarre.
Yeah, so Rich sits in 5th, I'm in 12th, and Kev's in 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, come back next week. Find out how many games Kev has won. Loads, just loads, an abundance of, if anything, too many games Kev's going to win next week. I think this week, I think we've all got our League Cup third round games to start the stream. So I'm going to get battered by Liverpool. So if you want to come and just see somebody's comparatively informed team crumble, lose all morale, then that's the place to go.
Yeah, we're a while away from that, so don't worry.
Oh, are we? Oh, that's
yeah. We've got a whole month of games to play before we go near them.
Have we really? There we go. There we. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. So hey, regardless, I'm going to get battered by somebody. So that's going to be good fun. As well as the network game, obviously we like to do our little kind of stream save updates, and it's my turn this week. It's my turn for a quick stream save update.
Have you changed saves and gone somewhere else, or
no? Same place, Kev. Same place. Consistency. That they call me consistent Rich Owens these days. They don't. They never will. Nor should they ever. Still in Italy. Still in Mad Scientist's retro database. Lovely to see, by the way, that Mad is recovering after just getting quite poorly after the release of the database. He's back streaming again, so that's really, really good news. So we're glad to hear you feeling better, pal.
Go back to that again. Get some sleep.
Listen to Jeb. Sleep, snooze. It's good. It's not overrated. I value it highly. But I'm still in his database, having a wonderful time. I'm in season 2 of the save now. I'm in season 2. Season 1 was, I'm going to say, mixed bag. But in saying that, it makes me sound like I'm being a little bit too harsh on myself, because season one, like last time we caught up, the Ronaldo, was on an absolute tear, scoring goals for fun, which he continued to do throughout the season. We won Serie A, first time of asking. Bearing in
Nice.
mind the objective of the save was to try and do a little bit better than eventually Roy Hodgson did in real life, because that season Roy Hodgson finished in the caretaker's job at Inter Milan when they finished 8th. I won the league, and I realised going into the penultimate 2 games of the season that I hadn't actually lost in the league for the entire year. So I was on to do the undefeated, which I hadn't done in years in any save. Having a wonderful old time. Won my penultimate game, I think, against Barry, just took them to town. Last game of the season was against Fiorentina, Gabriel Battistuta's Fiorentina. And Battistuta may well crop up again later in the podcast for reasons, which I'm completely over, by the way, completely over. Out we go. We've already won the title. The title is done and dusted. Everyone's happy. We're playing for the undefeated season. We are 3-1 down at half time, because of course we are, because a Batty goal is arguably one of the best strikers in that database. Friend of the pod, all round good human being, Gavin Brash, was in the chat, giving it large, thinking it was very funny that we were going to drop our undefeated streak. And then I had a little word with the boys at half time. I was like, Ronaldo, can you just go out and score a load more goals, please? And he went, oh, yeah, okay, I can probably make that happen. Just went out, scored a hat trick within about 15 minutes, and we ended up winning 5-3. So we lifted the Serie A title, which was an absolute joy. Very, very happy with that. We had a not easy Champions League campaign as well. We made it all the way to the final of the Champions League. We knocked out teams like Arsenal. We knocked out Barcelona in the knockout rounds, which I was very, very impressed with. 2 very, very strong teams in the database. Champions League final against that team again, Liverpool. Liverpool in the Champions League final. And it just didn't look like anybody was up for it. All of our other games, we'd look like we were in control. They were our games to lose the whole way through the competition. We played really, really well in Europe the whole way through the season. The Liverpool game just felt really stunted. It just felt like nobody could get going. I don't know if it was the pressure of the occasion. I don't know what it was, but it felt like everyone was struggling. Everyone was having a bit of a difficult time.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there. I was 2-1 up in the 85th minute. 85th minute, 2-1 up. Second half had been a little bit quieter. We were starting to take control of the game a little bit. We'd kept players like Michael Owen out all game long. Michael Owen is, of course, again, another phenomenal striker in that database. The attributes are obscene for young Mickey Owen. And then 2 of the worst defensive errors I've seen all year in arguably the most important game of the save cost me 2 very, very late goals. And we fell to a 3-2 defeat in the Champions League final against Liverpool. And I was unhappy. I think it's fair to say. Unhappy. I wasn't expecting to win the competition first season, but we got to the point where we got through the semi-finals. We were playing really, really well. I was like, actually, you know what? This could well happen. I was even saying to my chat, I was like, at the start of the save, I didn't necessarily want to win everything season 1, because I wanted to try and win everything at some point. But then to have lost in that fashion in a Champions League final, I was like, actually, I would have been happier if I'd won in hindsight. Weird that. I'd have been a lot happier if I'd won a Champions League final than lost one. So that was a shame. But we've bounced back. We're about a quarter of the way through season 2. We've made some really, really good signings over the summer. Players like Raquel may have come in. We've signed Sol Campbell, who according to the fans was a panic buy on transfer deadline day, which I dispute enormously. Sol Campbell is really, really, really good. We've got players like Christian Vieri, who ended up moving to Inter in real life. He's coming in at the end of the season. It's been good. We had a great transfer window. Doing really, really well again in season 2. The last time I streamed the save, it was the first time I'd streamed since the January update. Since the winter update had come in. And previously, Ronaldo was having an even better season than the one he'd had previously. He scored 9 goals in one game. He scored 9 goals against Fiorentina and still didn't get man of the match.
That's
9 goals in
mad.
one game. Didn't get man of the match. What was going on? I think 3 players that game finished on a perfect 10. So they just flip a really weird 3-sided coin to decide who gets it. And it wasn't him. He has slowed down in terms of the goals he scored. he has slowed down since the update. He didn't feel quite as dangerous as he was pre-update. So at the time of recording, I just had to take a quick screenshot before we went live, just to remind myself. He's played 22 competitive games so far this season, 22 competitive games, and he has only scored. This is across all competitions, by the way, so it's not just in the leagues. That'd be ridiculous. In those 22 games, he has now only scored a paltry 63 goals. So
I don't know how you're coping.
washed striker. That's what I've heard.
That's it.
Washed is a word I learned last night from Ali, by the way, because I learned all of my slang terms from him. Thank you, Alistair. I appreciate you. So only 63 goals. It's something like 45 in 15 in the league for him. So he's still phenomenal. It's just nice for me because I've had such a torrid time with previous saves. Just, it does feel like sometimes my streams are people just sat there waiting for Ronaldo to score, which I'm quite happy with, as it turns out. I'm quite happy with that. But it's not just me that's got to have a little bit of fun in the 98-99 database recently. It's not just me, is it? Because not only did we get together last Monday night for the return of the network game, we got together the night before as well for the second installment of FMT versus the community draft competition that we run generally about once a month. We use the Mad Scientists database. We sat down with some of our favorite community members, really, really nice group of lads, and we did some drafting. Kev, how did you have more fun community drafting than you may have done in the network game this week?
Yes, very much so. It was very, very lovely, I must say. The guys that joined us were excellent company, and we had a good time. I won't spoil what happened for other people within our pod team, etc., but I might have been on the winning team. FMT versus the community. Now, what I contributed to that might be questionable in a way. I finished 5th out of 8, I think it was. I had one of those random FM weeks where I win one, lose one, win one, get a draw, win one, lose one, win one, whatever it was that I did, in the half dozen games that we played. And I just couldn't get the consistency out of it. I must say, I had the best time previously to the actual evening going through the database and trying to figure out which players I wanted in my team. That was an absolute joy to do in the retro database and trying to figure that out. And I think ultimately I didn't quite get it right. I think my fullbacks didn't get involved in the play enough for the setup that I've got. And I had Christian Vieri, and I can't even remember who his partner was. Was it Boxic or something like that? I can't even remember who it was. But they didn't just quite gel enough and didn't quite get going enough. And when you've got the likes of Ronaldo and Batistuta around and all that kind of stuff, that's a bit of a problem. So I had a brilliant time. Can't wait for the third iteration because, we're having a lovely time doing it. But yeah, one of these days I'm going to get it right and win some games. You'll never know when it's coming, but it is coming.
I think we just need to rebrand it as definitely nothing to do with podcast because, outside of, pod community drafts and that kind of thing, Kev is an unstoppable PvP machine at the moment. He's terrifying.
Number one contender, baby.
Absolutely. Kevlet is not just a clever nickname. He's earned that reputation. So next time we do it, it'll be not FMT versus the community. So there we go. You'll be fine in that respect. We've mentioned that man Batistuta previously this afternoon.
This man here on the screen just behind
that man right there. That man right there.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is. Look at that beautiful, beautiful man. Jeb, how was your Batistuta experience?
Batistuta experience was actually quite frustrating. He missed so many sitters. All right, he finished with 9 goals and it did quite well, but it was just so frustrating. I think there was a few players I picked up that way. Steve McManaman, nope. Awful. That just couldn't get the positioning right for him. He ended up, I think he got injured and he just stayed out my team after he got injured. Had Patrick Vieira as well. Well, yeah, I did have a combination in midfield of Patrick Vieira and Edgar Davids. They lasted 2 games before they both got suspended at the same time. I thought it was just going to be a rotation where they play 2 games, get suspended. Luckily, they kind of held out towards the end of the season. We had Sol Campbell and I think you mentioned before Moas at the back. I mean, Moas is the 20 machine, 20 pace, 20 strength, 20 stamina, 20 tackling. He's just a beast of a defender. So we had him at the back. They didn't perform particularly amazing either. Lama. FM Lama's got a win against all of us. He beat FMT completely.
He did.
Absolutely destroyed me as well, to be
It's
fair.
one thing I've held over
Yeah.
Lama for the last 3 years because I destroyed him in a draft 3 years ago and we haven't played since. And now I can't claim that anymore because he beat me comfortably on the weekend.
Yeah, but I also picked up Samau and Bertie out on the wings as well as Leonardo, who ended up being a backup. But those two were really good at feeding Batistuta. And Batistuta, I think he had something like 36 shots or something stupid, but he still scored 8 goals. And me and Rich were top of the table. We played each other. Rich beat me in that game as well, so we went into the final game. Gitos had gone on a tear until, to be fair, Kev, you do yourself a bit of an injustice. You stopped Gitos's run.
I did.
He won every game quite comfortably, including one against Richard. Was it 5-0 or the first game? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely tore me apart in that first game. Gitos did, yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a thing going.
Yeah, Kev stopped the run and then he lost
Did
his
it
next
for the
game.
pods.
Got the next game and then went to the final game. I played Gitos and Rich played. I've got it here.
I played
right in front
JM
of me.
Thoughts.
Played JM Thoughts, who'd not won a game. Well, no, he'd won one game, but JM Thoughts has always been a thorn in your side, hasn't it, when it comes to drafting Rich?
Yeah, he has. Of course, it was a loss to JM Thoughts on the final day of one of the last Path of the playoffs that I took part in. He was rock bottom. I think he was on 1 point going into his final game. Had been atrocious. Well, his team, sorry, had been atrocious all tournament. Not a reflection on JM, the man, but the team behind him had been abysmal all tournament. I'd put myself in a position where all I needed to do was win. If I'd won that game, regardless of how other results went, I was guaranteed to make it through to the playoffs good and proper. And in that particular game, he sunk me with Andy Carroll. He beat me 2-1 with a goal from Andy Carroll. And I have definitely gotten over it. I was in a position going into the final game of this FMT versus community. Again, I was playing JM, who was bottom of the table to the point where, bless him, he'd even ended his stream and raided over to me because he was like, I'm done. This is pointless, me still being online. I will play the game, but I'm not going to do it live. He'd sent me his viewers. All I needed to do was beat him. And then I was pretty much there or thereabouts. I was very, very lucky. Even though I went third in the draft, I got to pick up Ronaldo. Ronaldo was still there after picks 1 and 2. Jeb went Batistuta. Who did Lama pick?
Lama had first pick. He picked Mario Yardell.
Yeah.
Yes, he picked Mario Yardell, first pick of the competition. And it's like when you drafted, like Haaland is there 3 or 4 picks in. Like, well, I've got to take Haaland if he's there 3 or 4 picks in. Exactly the same in these circumstances. Sat there, picked up Ronaldo. Ronaldo did many, many goals, having a wonderful time with him. All I needed to do was beat JM, ideally by a fairly competitive scoreline to keep Jeb out. I was at one point, I think, 5-0 up, 4 or 5-0 up. 4-0 up. 4-0 up. I was 4-0 up. And then my defense went, we've probably won. We'll just get a little bit complacent. And complacent they did because he pulled one back. And I was like, oh, this is slightly frustrating. And then I scored again. But then he pulled another one back, an 88th minute goal from Alan Shearer.
90 plus 1, actually. So
90 plus
I've got
1.
the scores up in front of me.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. 90, an injury time header from Alan Shearer, who, ironically, as he scored that goal, I was sent a photo by former FMT host Tony Jameson of him stood next to Alan Shearer at an awards event that he was at. And I was like, oh, wow. Alan Shearer might have just scored a goal in the community draft that might have maybe just cost me the competition. Jeb, did that goal cost me the competition?
Well, at that stage, this is almost like the old school where the trophy's in the helicopter floating around between floating around the Midlands. That's where it was at them. So we were comfortably 2-0 up, and then we got to 3-0 up, and then we were I think you were 4-0 up, so I was just like, it's not really going to happen. Then the glimmer of hope from Seedorf getting the goal and Shearer getting the goal. Your game had finished earlier than mine. But Gitos was still in a chance of winning it, so he kind of went for it. And I had Moas sent off in the 82nd minute for a second yellow card. It was very frustrating. I was like, oh, God, what do we do? So I just went, Gunko, I need to get goals. But Gitos also went gunko, but he went a little bit more gunko by just going, all defenders, you're all going up. There's no defence left. So in the 90 plus 4 minutes, Semal goes to equal it on goal difference between me and Rich. I don't know where it comes down to. I think it goes to goals scored, and obviously Rich had Ronaldo in his 400 goals that he'd scored in the competition beforehand. And then in the 90 plus 6 minutes, Gitos had a corner and he'd sent his keeper up for it. And then it was just all she wrote from there. Batty goal was in front of goal and just walked it in. And we won the trophy in the 90 plus 6 minute on goal difference. But like we said, the most important thing is FMT won.
Yeah, in
I'll
your
take
face,
it.
community. Yep, there you go. That's what we do around here. We establish dominance.
And I messaged Simaggio afterwards. He still won't put it on the FM rankings. It's unbelievable.
I don't get it.
Like, yeah,
Just
I know,
don't
it's
get it.
crazy. Yeah, I know.
Absolutely furious that he won't do that. Come on, Maggio, sort it
Yeah.
out. I had the pleasure, because as I say, my game finished earlier. I was sat there chatting away to the fellas, chatting away to my chat as well. And I was like, oh, you know what? Let's just click on. Let's just click on and let's just watch the highlights of Jeb's game with Gitos. And as I joined the game, Gitos was about to take a corner. Now, bearing in mind, I think there were supposed to only be about 4, maybe 5 minutes of added time as well. I'm not bitter about this. I'm definitely not bitter about this. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe he's going to pull one back here. And then I saw there were so many players up, so many players in the box. And I was like, it doesn't look like he's left many players back. And then there was just one ball over the top. And I was like, oh, Jeb's got 3 forwards all bearing down on goal at the same time. And it doesn't look like, nope, there's nobody back. There's nobody back. There's nobody back. Hey, maybe Battygoal's going to miss an empty net from 12 yards. Maybe he didn't miss the empty net at all. So congratulations, Jeb. First and foremost, congratulations, pal. You now know what it feels like to win arguably the most prestigious draft tournament going. Again, I don't know why it's not in the rankings. It's a complete mystery to me. Also, wonderful shout out to our colleagues for the evening, the community that played with us. Obviously, we had JM Thoughts was in there. We had Pokes, who was an absolute pleasure to hang out with for the night. Story was in there. FM Llama, former podcast guest Llama, he was a joy to play. And again, special shout out to Llama because he battered us all. So even though Podcast won the competition, Podcast couldn't beat Llama. And of course, as we've talked about, Gitos as well, who was that far away, just a fraction away.
Started off like
taking
a
the crown from us.
freight train, didn't he? It was
Oh,
amazing. the
unplayable.
start he got.
Absolutely unplayable. The first game against me, it just looked like that this was going to be it. That's all she wrote. He started so well, so well.
But yeah, it was a great evening.
Yeah,
It was a lot of
what
fun.
an evening. Yeah, we
And
had
also
a
a
wonderful time.
Shout out to a Story for probably one of the worst and greatest typos I've ever seen, where he thanked us all the next morning for taking his draft virginity, but he forgot to put the R in draft, so it came out a lot different.
That was just perfect.
Yeah, and he's still not changed it as well, which I respect.
No.
He's doubled down. Don't
Yeah,
back
exactly.
down. Double down. That's the solution.
So that's 2-0 FMT versus community. 1 for Rich, 1 for Jeb. When are we doing the next one?
That's a very,
It's
very
gotta
good
be
question.
me, isn't it? Surely.
It's
That's-
gonna
this is my
whenever
time.
it is. Whenever it is, Kev wins.
You've got to beat
Spoiler alert.
me, Kev. You've got to beat me if you want to win a draft. You've
Not
done it
really.
yet.
Everybody can have one poor game.
Exactly.
That's two
Everyone can play somebody who pulls all their defenders in the 95th minute. We've all been. But I'm not.
You're not bitter, are you?
I'm
No, you're
not
not.
bitter
No,
about
no.
it at all. Not bitter at all. I was going to go 2-0. But you know what? It is what it is, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one. Keep an eye out on the socials. We will announce it beforehand, and same as last time. Just let us know if you want to play, and if you do, you are more than welcome to come join us. There's no restrictions. You don't need to stream it. There's no. You can just sit around at home in your pants, laptop on your legs, and do it that way, which is the best way to do it. The absolute best way to play FM, in your pants with a laptop on your legs. It's a joy and a privilege to do it that way. So yeah, come play draft with us next time. We'll have a good time. Now then. Jeb, had a lovely time last week. Jeb had a lovely time last week hosting our own internal football manager therapy version of the Football Game Company's brand new card game. We had a little bit of that. We had a bit of that amongst us. If you've watched last week's episode, if you've listened to it, brilliant. If you've not watched it, don't, because you will see some facial expressions from me as I completely disassociated just trying to remember the names of Premier League clubs, let alone their managers.
I
It's
still haven't
horrible.
got over last week myself, to be honest.
No, neither Scott Parker. He's. Do you know what I really liked about that is in solidarity with you, Kev, Scott Parker was the wrong answer in a quiz, so he clearly resigned from his Club Bruges job a few days later. Yep.
Well, no, he
Thanks
got
for
sacked,
reminding
didn't
me
he?
that
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that through the week as well, Rich. I appreciate the couple of reminders you sent my way.
Hey, what can I say? What can I say? I live to give.
I also like the fact that the football game .co that they messaged me on Instagram and said, "Tell Rich it's okay. We've all had that face before." Yeah, shout out to them again.
Oh yeah, they're
fantastic for
wonderful.
that.
I think they've hit their Kickstarter backing.
Yeah,
this week.
brilliant.
Again, wonderful news, wonderful news. So once the game is available for release publicly, I would wholeheartedly encourage you to pick up a copy because it is great fun. Who doesn't love a little bit of football trivia? I do. We all do. And last week, I won by default. Not through more knowledge than my esteemed opponent Kev, but just because Kev got a question wrong before I
Just
did,
messed up.
which is very sweet of you. I do appreciate that, mate. It's just the kind of person that you are. You're a very, very kind man.
Can we do that question again, please? I've got them sorted this week.
Absolutely.
He's got the list of the Premier League managers in front of him.
Premier League managers. Let's go. Let's make this happen. We're going to do it again this week. We're going to do it again. I'm going to be in the hot seat. I'm going to be asking the questions this week.
Oh boy.
Oh, I know. What a terrifying concept that is. So we're going to do Jeb versus Kev in the Football Game Company's wonderful, wonderful card game. Jeb sent me a couple of blank ones before we started recording. So we've got a couple of those. We've also got one that I found myself this week, which I thought would be quite good fun to do. So on that basis, Jeb, pick a number between 1 and 3. This just depends which question I'm going to ask first.
1.
1. Thank you very much.
I've got my utter panic face ready. So come on, bring it on.
Good. Kev, would you like to go first or second?
Third. I will go second.
Second. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
So question number 1. Hold on. I've lost it. Oh, that's not ideal. Nope, there it is.
Do I
It's
win
okay.
through default then?
Yeah,
Yes,
we both
sweet,
win. Everyone's a winner.
Sweet default. The best way of winning anything. So, question number 1 is one of the Football Card Co's questions. I would like you to take it in turns to name any Belgian player that has played at least one game in the Premier League. Any Belgian player that has played at least one game in the Premier League. First person to get one incorrect or not think of one before the timer goes off is the loser. So, who's up first?
Jeb's up
Romelu Lukaku.
Romelu Lukaku is correct.
Christian Benteke.
Christian Benteke is correct.
Toby Alderweireld
Is also correct.
Courtois.
Yep, very much so.
His former defensive partner, Jan Vertonghen.
Absolutely it is.
Fellaini.
Absolutely. Shout out Tim Lewis.
Simon Mignolet.
Excessively Belgian, some might say.
Tielemans.
Big Yuri is very correct.
Michy Batshuayi.
Yes, very, very much so.
Eden Hazard.
Very, very Eden Hazard.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Big Kev.
Now I'm running low. There's got to be one there somewhere. Belgium. I might have to wave my white flag.
Give you 5 more seconds.
I'll wave my white flag. It's not coming at all.
The white flag has been raised.
I'm glad you have, because I've gone blank as well.
I've
so
gone
there we are.
completely. I don't know how many there are that's not listed already, but I'm always going to find that. The next person's always going to say, but I had nothing left either.
Yeah, it's always going to be the way, isn't it? It's always going to be the way. In fairness to you, I think you both named all of the super duper obvious ones. I would say the rest of that list, you're starting to kind of very slowly work your way down into the slightly more obscure Belgian Premier League players. But you know,
is there any big names that we obviously
in terms of the really big names, like you had the Hazards, you had the Courtois, the De Bruynes. I don't think you've missed any of the massive ones. Maybe because he's been in the headlines recently. Somebody like Trossard, Onana at Everton, but again, that's a bit of a stretch. Then you've got your kind of
What's his
your
name?
Classic. Couldn't tell you. Apart from maybe Thomas Vermaelen was the only other maybe.
See, that was one I was trying to figure out, because I knew Alderweireld, Vertonghen, and there was another one in that defensive group. I knew there was, and I couldn't think of the name.
And maybe Vincent Kompany as well.
That's quite obvious. Yeah.
Okay,
just a slight one, just a small one. Yeah.
Just spent 11 years at City, but apart from that,
Van den Boer as well. Actually, if you actually just go to Football Manager and Championship Manager law, they're the two.
And
obviously should have gone.
Okay, can we move on, because this will make me feel bad now.
Let's do. Oh, you know what? I'll just list them all, Kev. There you go. That'll show you. Right then, that was question number 1. Right then, question number 2. This is a slight redo it's a variation of one we did last week, which Kev did exceptionally well at. I think this is the one I tapped out on. I would like you to take it in turns, please, to name German internationals who have at least 50 caps for Germany. German internationals who have at least 50 caps for Germany. These are real ones, not unlicensed ones from previous versions of FM, because they didn't have the right licensing for names. Right, Jeb, you went first last time, didn't you? So I think we're starting with Kev this time.
Oliver Kahn.
Oliver Kahn, very, very much so.
Miroslav
86 caps
Klose
for Oliver Kahn. Miroslav Klose is also on the list with 137.
Jens Lehmann.
Jens Lehmann is...
Please be right.
I
can't be done in the second time, surely.
There we go. You know what's a better idea, Rich? Put it in alphabetical order. That's probably better than number of caps, isn't
Control and F is your friend as well.
It's everyone's best friend. It's everyone's best friend. Also helps if you know the alphabet. Jens Lehmann, 61 caps. Yes.
just a teaser.
Thomas Muller here, Rich.
Thomas Muller, very, very much so. 110 caps so far.
Lothar Matthäus.
Lothar Matthäus, I think you're very safe with that one, Kev. 150, I believe, Germany's highest capped player of all time.
Jürgen Klinsmann.
Oh, that was going to be my next one.
Or Klinsmann. Yeah, 108.
Okay. I've got a few names that I know. Have they got enough caps? Sammer? Matthäus Sammer, is that one?
Matthäus Sammer. 51.
Oh.
We snuck in there.
Philippe Lahm.
Philip Lahm. Philip Lahm. Philip Lahm. Philip Lahm. Philip Lahm. I believe he is on the list. Let me just
LAHM.
confirm. Thank you very much. Yep, 113.
Bremer.
That begins with a B, doesn't it? There we
Yes.
go. Andreas Bremer, 86 caps.
Joshua Kimmich.
Joshua Kimmich. Joshua Kimmich has 50, so scraped in there.
Oh,
Wow. Okay,
wow,
that's impressive.
that's a surprise, actually.
Isn't it, though?
Michael Ballack.
Michael Ballack is 100% on the list with 98.
Rudy Voller.
Big Rudy Voller. He had beautiful hair. Did he play for Germany over 50 times in his career? He played 90. So, yes.
Tony Cruz.
Tony Kroos. Loads of caps. 106.
Gerd Muller.
Big Gerd. 62.
Hummel.
Large Matthew Hummels. 76.
Why is that name just gone? That's gone there. I'm going to go Goretzka.
Leon Goretzka.
I don't know if he's going to be in the Kimmich side, though.
Leon Goretzka, 27.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, there we go.
What a shocker. It's tied up.
Yeah.
It's 1-1. Yeah, there are some really, really surprising
Oh,
names
yeah,
on
yeah.
that list that you would expect to
Mhm.
have significantly more caps than they do. I'm shocked Kimmich only has 50. So Kimmich
Yeah.
is on there. The other really, really big one, Marco Reus. Only 44 appearances.
Oh, he was
which
going to
is-
be my next choice.
Yeah. Ozil,
same
we've
with-
obviously missed. We've missed.
Same as Gundogan as well. I think in terms of the big numbers, you have Mateus, you have Closer. Number 3 on the list, Lucas Podolski,
Yeah.
Schweinsteiger,
Of course. Schweinsteiger.
and then everybody's favourite pacey centre back, Per Mertesacker, 104 international caps for Germany. Incredible stuff.
Nice.
Right then, let me just get the final question up because I did this one.
Oh, the pressure.
I know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one. Let me find it. Here we go. Because this is something that I did on my lunch break at work the other day, and I had a great time doing it. When I did this, I got 19 out of 20, but it took me a little while. So our final question, the decider this week, we've gone to a decider because you can't just go 2-0. We need all 3 questions. The deciding question. So this week, the last question of the 20 current Premier League clubs. So the 20 clubs that are currently in the Premier League, not including teams that have played up there and have since been relegated. The 20 current Premier League clubs, I would like you to take it in turns to name those clubs' all-time top goal scorers. So you take it in turns.
All-time
club
or
by
Premier
club.
League? Sorry.
Premier League. Their top goal scorers in the Premier League.
Oh, the fact that Jeb even has to clarify that means I'm in trouble, surely.
So players that have scored the most goals for each Premier League club. We can do that, or actually, you know what? I'll give you an option. Would you like to do that, or would you like to do a specific question about a specific player's career? I'll give you the choice. Goal scorers
I'm
or
happy
career?
with the original one, but
Happy with the goal scorers?
as much as I would be about any of it, really. So yeah.
Let's do the goal scorers then. Right then. So I believe it is Jeb's turn to go first again.
Right, it's quite an easy start for me. Mohamed Salah, who broke the record last week in Liverpool's 7-0 win over Manchester United. There you go, Kev.
Thank you. Let's go Alan Shearer, Newcastle.
Alan Shearer is Newcastle's all-time top goal scorer in the Premier League.
Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry is Arsenal's all-time top goal scorer in the Premier League.
I hope I'm right. I think I'm right. I'll go Rooney for United.
Wayne Rooney is Manchester United's all-time top goal scorer in the Premier League.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane is the correct answer, is now Spurs' all-time top goal scorer.
Let me think. Who would be theirs? Okay. Oh, that's tricky. I think I might possibly take a gamble and be done here. Oh no, actually, this is really struggling already. Let me. Okay, let's go Man City.
Mm-hmm.
And I would assume it would probably be Aguero.
You have assumed correctly. 184
Okay.
goals.
It's not Haaland yet. Soon.
Not yet.
By the end of the
Give him
season.
another
Yeah.
half season.
Yeah, give him another year, and he'll be there or thereabouts, won't he?
Jamie Vardy for Leicester.
Jamie Vardy is the correct answer. Leicester City's all-time top goal scorer, 134 games. Not bad for a man that didn't make his first Premier League start till he was 27.
Okay, so let's go. I am really, really struggling. Got
to say, Kev's panicked thinking face is nowhere near as bad as mine, so that's a huge result for you in and of itself,
Yeah,
mate.
your eyes haven't popped out your head
but
yet.
the
so-
internal workings are just going. Okay, so let's pick a team and see what I can find. Okay, let's go Chelsea. It's kind of one of two that I'm umming and ahhing over, and it'll probably be neither of them. I am perfectly aware of that. But I'm suggesting Premier League scorers is probably either Drogba or Lampard, I would imagine. Depends on how long Lampard was there compared to Drogba and how many got in the Premier League. I'll go Drogba, but it's probably Lampard or neither.
It is one of the two. It is definitely one of the two. It is, with 147 goals, Super Frankie Lampard. So close. So close.
I was ready to step in with Ivan Toney because I was going to take a bet on it and everything, but never mind. The joke's gone.
Yeah, Ivan Toney is there. There are some.
Yeah.
You know what? There are some really obvious names, and then there are also some really shocking names on this list as well.
The one that kept coming back to me before you tell us what it is, because I really can't remember. Is Letitia still Southampton's?
He is.
That would have been one that I was so sure of, but then so unsure of, and I couldn't bring myself to put it out there.
Can I have a couple of punts at other names while I'm here?
Oh, please do. Punt away.
Jimenez for Wolves
is the correct answer.
Nice.
Yep, Jimenez.
I want to say I don't know if it would be, but maybe Van Hooijdonk for Forest. Like Forest is going to be one that's a really deep reach.
It's not a bad shout, but no, not Forest is the only one. Nottingham Forest is the only one that I couldn't get. Which, to be fair, when I say it does, I'm not trying to imply that I've got incredible ball knowledge.
Or Brian Roy or something.
Brian Roy is the correct answer. Yeah, it's Brian Roy. I was nowhere near that one. Would
it be? Would it be someone like, I don't know, either Louis Sahar or Mitrovic for Fulham?
Yeah.
Fulham's Fulham's is Clint Dempsey, Captain America.
Oh,
the original Captain America, the good Captain America.
Anyway,
Andy Johnson for Palace.
No, Andy, it's Will Sahar.
Oh, okay.
Will
that makes sense.
The ones that really surprised me, were West Ham. It's Mikel Antonio.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense over the past few. Well, not last season, but the seasons before.
Yeah. Gabia Bongelhor is still Villa's all-time top Premier League goal scorer.
Okay.
Josh King at Bournemouth,
Okay,
which again
yep.
surprises me. Brighton have got 2. Brighton have got 2.
Yeah, couldn't think of
Trossard one.
theirs.
No, Trossard isn't. It's Neil Maupay and Glenn Murray.
Yeah,
Glenn
please.
Murray,
Yeah,
that would have
Very
been a shout.
identical strikers in their play style for sure.
Is it
again,
Lukaku at Everton?
It is Lukaku
Yeah.
at Everton, yeah. Lukaku at Everton. Mark Viduka at Leeds.
Yeah, I was going to say him or Hasselbank. So
Yeah,
And I think
I probably
that's
would have gone
pretty much all
Hasselbank,
of them.
but cool, interesting.
But no, there's some interesting names. There's the obvious ones, and there's the ones that are a little bit like where you got that Brian Roy Gessie. Hell of a shout. Hell of a shout. So there we go. Congratulations, Jeb. You are this week's winner. There you go. Trivia, we've got you, Kev. Debating, we don't stand a chance.
Yes.
You think it's a coincidence that section hasn't appeared for a little while on podcast? We'll bring it back for you. Next week's debate is what Kev explained why he thinks he should win the trivia round without even being asked the questions.
That'll do.
Lovely.
Wow.
There we go. Again, I love this game. I really, really, really do love this game. I'm happy that it exists. I'm happy we can sit and play it together on a Saturday afternoon. It's great stuff. There it is. There it is. Jeb's holding it up right now. And it's actually the game, not just a board with number 7 written on it. Beautiful. There we go. Fellas, I don't know about the two of you, but I reckon that's a podcast.
It certainly felt like one.
Yeah. I think if we all went away and thought about what we've done this afternoon, the general consensus would be recorded podcast. So I'm happy with that. Happy with that. Yeah. Before we start to sign off and say our goodbyes, it was one little thing we'd like to drop, one little piece of information for you. Next week is going to be a very strange week because next week we're going to be Jebless for the first time ever. I know. We're going to be this podcast.
I quit. Done.
Fair enough. And me in solidarity. There we go. That's what we do.
Well, when I heard you were getting a special guest in, I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to have the week off. I can't deal with it. So no, I've had a holiday planned for this weekend. It's something I do with friends every year. So I'm away next weekend, so I can't record the podcast. I could take a laptop and a microphone, but I don't think it'd be appropriate. You will get the quality that you'd expect from this podcast on there as well. And I also probably will be really hungover and just not up for that type of thing. I think it's a bit of a lads' weekend that we have away, but it's nice to get away and be with some friends and have a weekend away from everything, which will be nice.
Brilliant.
Very, very much deserved as well, mate. Very, very much deserved for you. So
is next week just going to be one long debate between you and I, Rich, that I'll win? Is that all?
Yeah. No, that's all next week's podcast is. It's just
that's called bullying, isn't it? One-to-one bullying.
Me.
Yeah. Kev wins when Rich starts crying for the 5th time. So it's a 5-minute podcast. So next week, to make up for the distinct lack of Jebbaroo, we have got a super special guest booked in. Who is it? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you nothing.
I could, for a price, just come and talk to me in the week. It'll be fine. I'll tell you.
Yeah, just have a word with Kev for the right money. It will make it work. But no, next week, I'm massively looking forward to recording.
Why are you not going to tell them? Just asking.
Surprise.
Why would we?
Shall we tell them?
No.
Shall we tell them?
No.
You know,
why would you even consider telling them? Just
why?
Let's not.
Why would we even consider telling people?
Absolutely.
Nonsense.
No need.
No need whatsoever. But hey, there we go. That has been, from my point of view, another excellent episode of Football Manager Therapy. As I say, next week, no Jeb, sad times, special guest, happier times. Before we call it a day, Jeb, is there anything you would like to plug? Where can the people find you? What can the people find you doing?
Twitter.com/thejebbaroo, @thejebbaroo on Twitch. I'll be streaming the network save this week. I'll probably be streaming this afternoon, but that's not really relevant. But yeah, that's where we are. Piscara seems to be going okay. Also, shout out to FM Playoffs, which obviously by the time this is released, Kev's won. So well done, Kev.
Thanks. It was tough, but I pulled through and did good.
It's incredible. He was 9-0 down at half time in the final, and then just to pull it back and win 11-9.
Unbelievable.
Sensational. Absolutely sensational.
I think if we are going to plug the FM Super League, this is the weekend of the podcast, and Kev is taking part in that. He has been announced, so good luck to Kev.
Thank
Go
you.
make it a double.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, please do avenge me. Please avenge me in the FM Super League, Kev. I'd appreciate that because somebody didn't make it out of qualifying. It was me. I didn't do that. Kev, if people would like to see you dominating a textbook Kev Lesnar performance across the board, where can they find you doing that?
Well, I mean, first off, can I say I don't understand the concept of all of this qualifying business. I just get invited into things and just show up. It's great. It's lovely. So, playoffs, Super League, anybody else just wants me to come and participate in their final or something, I'll happily do it. It's no problem at all. But yeah, you can find me at the United City FM on Twitter and Twitch. On Twitch, I'm there every weekday afternoon. We're still on our homeward bound journey. It's going all right. By this time next week, I'll have an update for you, and I probably will have finished season 3 in Romania. Who knows what that will mean for us? Find out next week. But yeah, come and join me during the week, and we'll have a good time. Absolutely. But yeah, that's it.
Lovely. Although I'm secretly furious about the lack of necessity for Kev to qualify for tournaments, even though it isn't, this somehow feels like nepotism. I'm furious about it. Absolutely furious. Little known fact, Kev's dad was actually named Dave Football Manager. So that's why he gets the rub in these events. It's makes me very, very cross. If you'd like to find me doing things, I would encourage you to do so. Twitch.tv/Rich Owens FM. And at Rich Owens FM on the Twitter. There'll be network game. There'll be a return to Italy this week. Took a week off this week from streaming Italy because Rich's got a new job. And Rich's new job is really tiring. So Rich needed some sleep.
Get some sleep.
That instead. Get some sleep. It was good. I'd recommend it. Heartily recommend it. So yeah, come find me doing all of those things over there. That just about wraps up podcast for me.
Have I been sacked on the network game by Tuesday when this comes out?
No. Kev has somehow taken over as chairman of Crystal Palace, and as Crystal Palace, hello. Spoiler alert, he's chairman at Brighton and has found himself to be unsackable. So you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, mate. You're going to be absolutely fine. We've never made these kind of predictions on podcasts before, and they've never come back to bite anybody. Everything's going to be fine.
Okay, you can do the outro now. It's fine.
I'll do the outro, and then I just want to come around and give Kev a cuddle. There we go. What an episode. What a lovely time has been had by all. Thank you very much for choosing to spend a bit of time with us. From all of us here at Football Manager Therapy, we hope to see you on the next one. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.